Hey guys, Tuna here. I wanted to show my variant of Lightning Spear Amazon. This build for me has been a bit of a diamond in the rough. It took me a while to make this come together, mostly just because I'm poor, but also just because there was a few things that I was trying to iron out, some of the new supports. So shout out to also people who've been doing science on the lightning side of thing and on the electrocute side of thing. There was a really helpful Reddit post too that I read, but this was my plan from the start, and I kind of wanted to make a cold conversion lightning spear Amazon because the skill just looks OP numerically and also mechanically. So the thing that I'm talking about specifically is the fact that it can split to up to 3 targets, and those splits can then chain. The one thing I didn't know ahead of the league is the fact that Volt support is the most broken thing in the game. Like, it's crazy how good this is. The reason for that is that you get these like voltaic charges as you walk around. When you shoot, you start re-getting charges. You get them so fast. You can see you can really get them so fast. Lightning Spear is not really a skill that you have to spam a lot. It's something that like you shoot once per screen and then everything dies, as you'll see in the showcase here. I got a map loaded up. But anyways, yeah, it's absolutely insane, Volt. And what it does as well is that it gives you damages extra per voltaic charge consumed. So you're literally getting like 5% as extra per charge, and you have 30 charges. Like it doesn't really make sense how OP this is, to be honest with you. And the most OP thing about it is that it also chains 1 time per voltaic charge consumed. I believe when it says voltaic charge consumed, it means 10 charges. So it's like every 10 charges that counts as 1 voltaic charge, I believe. Or maybe it just consumes like once, like that is 1 consumption right there. But I was under the assumption that, yeah, per 10 voltaic charge. Wait, no, so it is as insane as I think, because 10 voltaic charges per 1 chain. That means that you get 3 chains, and then you get 5% per 10. Oh, it's per 10 as well, right? Sorry, I don't know why my brain ignores the 10 word instead of like the number, but yeah, per 10. So if you guys don't know, if something in Path of Exile is written in letters, like 10 like this, it means it's unscalable. So just so you guys know, if it's a number, it means it's scalable, but if it's written in words, it means scalable. Okay, it's a little weird thing. But yeah, I'm running currently in my Lightning Spear setup, twofold with Perpetual Charge, Volt, which is super important, and Martial Tempo as well as Long Shot. So if I had like a 5-link, then yeah, I would drop Long Shot, and then after that I would drop Tempo. But then I would never drop Volt, for example, and I would never drop Perpetual Charge or twofold. Those are very, very important. Another mechanic that we're using is Infuse Weapon, because we are running a power charge, a frenzy charge, consumption type build. We're infusing our weapon with Infuse Weapon, and we're using this for quality of life purposes as well as, of course, additional damage. The additional damage that you get is pretty damn insane. You're just getting a ton of extra damage. It's basically like you're hitting twice per attack, allowing you to deal some pretty decent damage while mapping, and also single target. What I'm using in my infused weapon is going to be controlled, concentrated effect, ice bite. This is going to be giving you a lot of extra damage while mapping. It procs fairly inconsistently, but for the most part, it's usually up. So as long as you're killing frozen enemies with supported skills. And the cool thing is that like I'll be using Lightning Spear, so that's going to be proccing it. But if you infuse Stormlance, that's also going to be proccing it. So that's nice that these are basically like adding on to whatever other thing you have. So then we have blind support. Blind is really good because we can use blind sight support here, which makes you deal 15% more critical damage bonus against blinded enemies. So that means that like when you are throwing Stormlance, your infusion is going to be blinding them, which procs your blind side. So that's kind of a nice synergy there. And then Rising Tempest for just a little bit of extra damage. This link is you can change it, right? I don't really know what to put here just yet. Of course, this is still a work in progress. So, you know, if you have any improvements or anything like that, leave them in the comments. Like, let me know. I'm definitely willing to learn a few things here and there and figure things out. The next thing I'm using is Thunderous Sleep, and this is going to be mostly used for, I'm not using it to like run around, I'm still just running around normally, but this is mostly going to be used for if I ever need to get past like an obstacle or something like that, you just Thunderous Sleep. Like if you're ever in a map that has like obstacles in the way, just, yeah, that's how I get out. Barrage is hit or miss. I don't really like it because it consumes a frenzy charge, but it does have the added bonus of, for example, if you ever use it, without consuming a frenzy charge, you throw all those spears, and then on the next throw, you're going to be able to just like detonate them, right? If you are consuming a frenzy charge. So that can deal some pretty good damage there. So barrage is nice also because it gives premeditation, which makes you deal 15% more damage with supported skills. So if you do consume a frenzy charge and you still have an additional frenzy charge to throw Stormlands, this is how you kind of like delete bosses, or well, delete in context of 0.2, right? But yeah, and my gear, of course, which I'll show in a little bit. So we're using premeditation and murderous intent. So you have culling strike and 15% more damage to whatever skill you barrage. Then we have sniper's mark, and I never really actually self-cast sniper's mark. It's mostly just there in situations where I'm really struggling, and I link this one to inspiration to reduce the mana cost, as well as ingenuity to reduce the cooldown on that. The main thing here is that I am using cold conversion so that I can proc cast on freeze. Cast on freeze is really important because this is how we automate sniper's mark. What you want to do here is you want to get a relatively low level cast on freeze with a relatively low level sniper's mark so that your mana cost stays low. So you want to keep that as low as possible because it's just going to be proccing while mapping, and the entire purpose of this is literally just to give you frenzy charges with like through automation. I'm going to be linking that to impetus as well as energy retention. We're using Herald of Ice, which I'm going to be linking additionally there, with a magnified effect for more AoE, and Innervate. The reason I'm using Innervate here is because it gives you a buff while mapping, so you just get 35% extra to all your other skills. And Lightning Infusion, so that I can proc my Innervate. If I was to remove Lightning Infusion here, it would actually be better for the clear of Herald of Ice. But I think like proccing Innervate is definitely worth, because you do end up gaining the damage that you lose from this back from Innervate. So yeah, for clear it's really good, and when I get additional links I'll probably get like more chance to shock, for example, as my next link. Combat Frenzy, this aura is absolutely mandatory. This is how we generate our frenzy charges, and you want to have this one as high level as possible with quality as well. And you use Perfusion here, which gives you 50% chance to gain an additional charge. So 1 in 2 times that you gain a charge, you'll gain 2 instead, which is really, really nice. Lastly, Wind Dancer, and yeah, this because we are an evasion build. One thing to mention is that you do need at least 50 extra spirit with this build, so 50 extra spirit. You can get that on either your amulet or your chest, totally up to you. So yeah, you're going to be needing that because that's what you need to preserve all these auras. You can actually drop Wind Dancer if you were to do that, and that means that you only need an extra 20 spirit. So you could get an extra 20 spirit on amulet or chest, but I do recommend going for Wind Dancer because for me, for example, brings my evasion from 57% to 65%. So, you know, it's pretty impactful. It's a decent amount of evasion. The quality on it does nothing, so don't be a clown like me and put quality on it. It literally does nothing now. It just makes like the AoE bigger. For the gear, so your spear, I would recommend looking for something that has at least 300 physical damage. And the sea glass spear is pretty good because it has 10% base critical strike chance. So that's a lot of critical strike chance that you're starting off of. The downside of that is that it has less physical damage, but you know, it's made up for with the crit. It's pretty powerful. For the gloves, we are using rare gloves here and not anything else because we are cold converting. So that is the main key piece here, is Call of the Brotherhood. But the gloves, you want to get as high damage as possible with life, resistances, attributes. You know, dexterity on this build kind of sucks because you need so much dexterity to equip your skills, and you do also need a little bit of strength, a little bit of int for your gems and stuff like that. I still think attributes in PoE 2 suck. They're really annoying to deal with. And it's just like another arbitrary suffix that you need to fill in order to play your build or level up your gems and stuff like that. So hopefully in the future they have, you know, something there to fix that. For your belt, this is the worst belt you've ever seen in your life, but it has life and some resistances. Getting strength on the belt would be really nice because it's a nice slot where, yeah, you can just get strength on it. And for the amulet right now, I am using a normal amulet with life plus 2 projectiles, a little bit of attributes, some accuracy as well, and some evasion. You know, just some stats here as well, like plus 2 projectiles, resistances, attributes, wherever possible. The shield, I think Lycosidae is the better shield, but it went up in price like times 100 since Jungrown has equipped it, so I'm kind of like holding out on that, hoping it goes down in price. And now that I think about it, this video isn't gonna help, is it? But anyways, Lycosidae would be great. Otherwise, you get something with as high block chance as possible with a bunch of stats like evasion, dexterity, resistances, you know. Boots, you need movement speed. Just get movement speed, man. Like, you just need 30% movement speed. fuck everything else, just get movement speed. It's miserable without movement speed. So for my tree, there's a few things that I did here which you might think is weird, like pathing out to monk, but I think monk has really good value in that it has these evasion nodes that you can path through, as well as like skill speed, a bunch of attributes that are very nice. You know, getting dex and in is really good. Increased damage if you've dealt crit recently, this really nice crit node as well. Damage is extra, and as well as freeze buildup. Freeze buildup is really important for this build because if you don't freeze, the build pretty much doesn't function. Here I path through the accuracy, grab some accuracy here. Then I grab penetration as well as area of effect. Area of effect is really, really nice for your Herald of Ice because it's also multiplied by the magnified effect support. The crit here, reduce global defenses, is no big deal. You get so much crit damage bonus. And I opted in for critical hit chance because my critical hit is actually still fairly low. I would like to get more, and I will probably get that once I ascend to Uber Lab and I grab penetrate, so that I can, like, you know, get more accuracy on my spear. Like, this spear sucks. I bought it for 15x, right? Then I went to harness the elements. The reason why I went for harness the elements is because chance to shock on the way is really nice. Since we are still dealing a lot of lightning damage thanks to Volt, because Volt is gain as extra, and gain as extra is post conversion. You're still going to be dealing lightning damage, meaning you are still going to be shocking. You don't lose shock, which is great, even though you convert 100% to cold. You still get that increased damage taken from the monsters. But then it also has freeze buildup, which, as I said earlier, is very important. That leads into the penetration here, which makes it much easier for you to freeze on impact, like on your first hit, right? Because the lower elemental resistance the monster has, the more likely he is to be frozen. And here there's a little bit of a dis-synergy. I'm not really sure, the opposite of synergy, where you think like, why are you getting penetration when you ignore negative elemental resistances on frozen enemies? Well, the reason is because you need to first freeze them, which is where penetration is really useful. So on the first hit, and then once they're frozen, then yeah, sure, then you're ignoring resistances. But yeah, I 100% think Heavy Frost is by far the best anoint. It's like 30 exalts at the moment to anoint that, but it's crazy good. For single target, unfortunately, it's not that good, but yeah, it's crazy good. The rest of the tree is just a bunch of crit, bunch of evasion, attributes. Go here for the Herald nodes. So I gain 50% increased cold damage, bit of damage. It's really good value, these nodes, actually. Here for Maim. Maim is going to make the enemies 30% slower, I think. That's 30%. Here's some movement speed. Obviously, we're grabbing all of these nodes. They're very strong. Yeah, a bunch of damage with spears, attack speed, accuracy. Unfortunately, this one is pretty bad. Focus thrust, but everything else is insane. Falcon dive or the attack speed from accuracy, as well as, you know, acceleration and all that kind of stuff. So that pretty much sums up the tree. Now that with Lycosity, these bonuses would be doubled, so Falcon Dive would be even crazier. And potentially later on down the line, when I get better gear and that kind of stuff, I might actually end up pathing out to here for pinpointing shot and kind of maybe look to drop this. But yeah, I'm going to be linking the planner of my build, and I'm going to be updating it as I update the build, since I am learning new things and fixing things all day. So that's the max roll planner that you guys will have access to. If I open it right here, you can see it just kind of shows all my links and what my character is wearing, as well as the tree and that sort of stuff. So yeah, I'll make sure that you guys get the planner for this build so you can follow along and all that good stuff. So yeah, that sums pretty much everything up. So yeah, like the Call of the Brotherhood is the absolutely most mandatory item for this cold conversion variant. So yeah, you have to have Call of the Brotherhood, and the rest of the gear can be pretty poor. When you're looking for a Call of the Brotherhood, one thing that you should be doing is you're going to be seeing a lot of people listing them for divines. Make sure you scroll down to the buyout price and click Exalted Orbs, because right now it's going to be 12x. After this video, it's going to go up, but it's a fairly common unique, right? But if you were to have here Exalted Orb equivalent, you're going to see everybody's listing them for divines. So you're going to pay twice as much for literally nothing, right? So don't scam yourself in this regard. Always make sure that you go for Exalted Orb. Do the same for the weapons and that kind of stuff. So yeah. And now I'm going to be doing a map showcase, which maybe I should have put at the start of the video, but I'm going to do a Hidden Grotto. I have only a T14 at the moment, but it's out and he's irradiated and stuff, so it should be just as hard as another map. The downside of this right now is that since my gear is pretty bad, like it's really bad gear, My chaos res is only 26. I'm getting like a lot of damage. I'm taking a lot of damage. But another really nice thing about this build is that since you are cold damage, you're actually gonna be I'm sorry for ignoring people, but I'll just be doing that for the showcase and then sell that after. You're just gonna be like taking corpses away. So yeah, exploding corpses is pretty nice. At the start of a map, by the way, like you're gonna be building up your infusions, and your damage is gonna be not amazing until you've built up your infusions. So just keep in mind that you're just gonna want to be throwing a bunch of times, and then you start generating frenzy charges as well. You can see that like here my sniper's mark is gonna be automated when I attack monsters. You can see that it just automated. I have my ice bite up, and now my frenzy charges are just basically ramping. There are situations where sometimes you run out of frenzy charges, but it doesn't happen really that much. And the fact that I never really have to cast, you know, Sniper's Mark myself, unless I'm on single target, that's, it's really, really nice. So anytime you come across a rare or something like that, what you want to do is you want to drop a Storm Lance on him. And Storm Lance deals insane damage if it consumes a Frenzy Charge. So keep that in mind, yeah. Yeah, you just, that's kind of like what the build looks like. I was hoping to get like a really nice, sort of like clear, where like you get like crazy splits and that sort of stuff, but this skill is mechanically completely broken, and Voltaic does things that is just insane. Like what it does to this skill is just crazy, right? Getting the chains to your secondary splits, as well as the additional lightning damage that still allows you to shock monsters and all that kind of stuff, is just insane. It's just absolutely crazy. Yo, and we're gonna get the speech right now so that you guys get to see what it looks like to be cheating or playing Path of Exile 1. It's kind of funny that like even this looks like half speed of PoE 1, but hey. The clear is extremely satisfying. It's really, really, really nice. Like for me, this build is a diamond in the rough, man. Like it's fucking crazy what it does. So I'm really happy to have actually like made this one happen, because yeah, I was like, actually it's the first time I made a paint build before the league started, and actually realize it in the league. So I'm pretty happy about it, and I think this build has a pretty bright future. It is kind of like the only viable Amazon skill, so you're gonna see a million different variants of it. But the nice thing about having a million different variants to choose from, especially for you guys, is that content creators are gonna be sort of rat racing to find technology and to make the build more enjoyable to play and stronger and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I mean, like this build is just basically gonna become insane, right? As more brains are put together to figure out mechanics and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely a bonus. Guys, I'm gonna skip the rituals just for the purpose of this video, because like PoE 2 maps already are long enough and tedious enough, so I'm not gonna put you guys through that. But at the moment, I'm kind of just trying to find the boss so I can explain the single target rotation. And of course, this is the worst boss possible for this build, but it's fine, right? The single target rotation is where you need to be pressing Sniper's Mark yourself. And the way you're going to be doing everything is like, you can basically just like Sniper's Mark, right? And that's what procs your Frenzy. You click Sniper's Mark on him, you can barrage, you can shoot him, and now I have a Frenzy charge. I press Sniper's Mark again, and that's when you want to throw your Voltaics. Sorry, not your Voltaics, your Storm Lances. You want to make sure that you're always throwing your Storm. So Sniper's Mark, Storm Lance, Sniper's Mark, Storm Lance, Sniper's Mark, etc., etc. And you keep doing that over and over again. Sometimes you press Barrage and brrr. And ideally, like if you have like a Frenzy charge after you barrage, you actually deal like pretty damn insane damage. But yeah, that's kind of what the build looks like, right? Like that's what your single target looks like. It's pretty good. Exploit weakness, or is that what it's called? The Ascendancy Exploit weakness, yeah. It does pretty good work on single target for you dealing like 50% more damage. Yeah, and that's what the build looks like with a 320 DPS spear. So pretty good. Like it's pretty good overall. I forgot to mention, but finally the order in which you would click the notes here is you would go Critical Strike first into Predatory Instincts. You wouldn't be playing until you have Elemental Infusion. So I recommend swapping this when you have 3 labs. But if you were to take only 2 labs, so if you only have 2 labs, you would drop Predatory Instinct. You would just go Elemental Infusion with Critical Strike. To level this build, I don't recommend leveling it. I don't recommend leveling spears. I leveled spears. It was horrible. It was not good. So what I do recommend you level with is Palstrons, Glacial Bolt Amazon leveling guide. It's really good. Like Glacial Bolt is insane, and I actually think Glacial Bolt is the answer to single target in endgame. Where I think what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just get like a crossbow swap on my offhand when I get a decent crossbow, and just Glacial Bolt the bosses down, because it does crazy amounts of damage. It's actually insane how much damage this does. And my tree is super generic. You can see that our trees are like fairly similar, right? Very, very, very generic elemental damage trees. What I plan on doing is basically just doing this whole like, you know, like offhand respec where when you swap, it's gonna unspec these nodes and probably put them maybe into the crit. I'm not really sure exactly, but yeah, I feel like they're pretty synergistic because they're both cold damage, and the nice thing is that the tree is so generic. I'm just stacking like critical strike chance as well as accuracy, and the only thing that isn't generic is this. So yeah, you just unspec that on your offhand and swap out to the crossbow to deal basically like 10 times the single target that I'm dealing right now. So that about sums up the build. Make sure you guys keep the planner link. It's not going to change. I'm going to keep updating the planner so you guys have like all the updated stuff. And I hope this video was at least helpful, and I hope you guys enjoyed it. And yeah, thanks for watching, guys. Appreciate you all, and I hope you have a good evening, and enjoy PoE 2 as much as possible, because holy shit, this patch is completely